All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I thank everybody in advance for their time for signing up for the webinar here. My name is Jeff Bause. I'm the president and CEO of NOXCO. It's a new company we started in 2020, actually in the middle of the pandemic. And we're going to hear a webinar today. I'm going to present on guaranteed emissions compliance for your aging plant. I've been working here in the catalyst emission space for heavy industry, for both petrochem, refinery, and gas power plants for the last 15 years of my career. We've seen a lot of growth in this industry, it's ever changing, right? With sort of the new political regimes changing and everything else, right? We're seeing all sorts of different bills passed and everything else, and emissions guarantees change for your facilities. And there's lots of new technology out that's changed over the last few years as well. So we'll go through the webinar organization here, what we're going to accomplish here, what the structure is. So we're going to kind of start off the agenda here with sort of the status quo for aftermarket emissions at your facilities. We're going to then move into sort of mitigating the risk and hands-free compliance. Then we're going to talk about what that turnkey solution is for the owners and operators on this call. And then we're going to get into kind of the nitty-gritty of how NOXCO works. It's an integrated solution driven by the data of your facilities. The webinar structure here, I'm probably going to be around 20, 25 minutes of my presentation. We'll leave it open for a good Q&A session at the end. So if you've got some questions, please feel free to use the Q&A function built into the webinar here and submit your questions throughout. For those that signed up for the webinar that couldn't make it, this is being recorded, and we will send out a link to all the registrants on here so that you can go back and reference the webinar. And if you want to pass it on to some colleagues and things like that, you will have that opportunity to do so at the conclusion of this webinar when we send it out to the registered participants here. So let's meet NOXCO, right? It's a new company assembled by aftermarket emissions experts. All in total with my partners and business the guys that work for me, we've got over 100 years of industrial emissions control experience. Some of our folks have over 35 years of kind of being in the startup of these emissions and catalyst systems, right? Since the 80s, when catalyst systems weren't very popular. Several people that work for NOXCO have been in this industry for a very, very, very long time. We've been involved in the operations, the maintenance, the design, as well as the root cause analysis with regards to industrial emissions control. We're focused on really providing an unprecedented new option for emissions compliance. What we're offering here has never been done before. It's certainly new and shiny, and I think at the end of the day, it solves a lot of problems that we're seeing in the industry today. So let's sort of kick it off here and talk about the status quo for kind of standard aftermarket approach with regards to emissions. We'll kind of kick it off with the maintenance plan. Internally by the plant, the plant is managing and interpreting data within the system, right? They're looking at ammonia slip, they're looking at NOx conversion, they're looking at CO conversion, they're looking at ammonia consumption, right? And the plant sort of takes all that information and tries to interpret that data and what does it mean for their system. Then the plant will go and develop a preventative maintenance plan for that catalyst system, for their emissions control equipment. It could be catalyst cleaning, it could be testing the catalyst every 3 years. It could be, it looks like we're towards the end of life, we need to worry about replacing this catalyst, right? That's all usually done internally by the plant. Some plants will lean on some outside contractors or vendors to help them with that. But a lot of that is done internally by the plant. Then once the plant develops that maintenance plan, they will go out and they will have to manage the spec quote bid process, right? They'll have to write a scope of work. They'll have to find people in the industry that they want to bid on that. They'll send out the bids, they'll award the work, that's done through plant personnel and the purchasing people at corporate or the purchasing people at the plant, et cetera. That's what's done today. And then after they've received the bids and selected the contractor, they're then going to have to go and schedule that work. Once that work is scheduled, and then need to manage the outage right at the plant and manage all the vendors. And, a typical outage today could have upwards at a gas turbine facility. It could be 150, 200 different people on site during an outage with as many as 15 to 20 different vendors. At a petrochem refinery facility, it could be 1,000 plus, personnel on site during a turnaround, right? And that's a lot of people to manage. That's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of moving pieces of that. And the other thing that we're struggling with today, and I think probably the pandemic has really brought this on much stronger than it ever was before. But let's face it, a lot of your facilities are working on, lower budgets for maintenance than ever before. A lot of the maintenance can during the pandemic was kicked down the road. And, that's really done some bad things for the industry, right? Because it's proven to the asset management folks and the owners and knows that, hey, these plants can run harder and stronger without this need for maintenance all the time. And a lot of plants have gone to a break fix situation, right? Where we don't fix it until it's broken. And it's sort of a real problem in the industry. And the pandemic, I don't believe, has really helped that at all. I think it's made it much, much worse. And then the next piece of this, right, within your emissions control equipment for a lot of guys, and I think a lot of people would agree, is, the biggest struggle is sort of guesstimating when that catalyst is going to need to be replaced, right? What if I roll the dice and try to get another year out of it? What if I got to replace it mid-year? Do I need to order a catalyst and warehouse it? So when it is time to replace it and it does fail, I do have it sitting and waiting for me, but guesstimating that end of life of catalyst is very, very difficult today. And I would say probably that's what a lot of folks on this call really, really struggle with, is when do I actually need to replace my catalyst? And then the final piece of this, sort of status quo is the black box approach, which I think happens in the industry a lot, right? This isn't rotating equipment. This isn't your turbine. This isn't pumps. This isn't even an inlet filter house, right? For a lot of guys, the emissions control equipment is a black box. It's not, some sort of crazy chemical equation happens inside the ductwork, inside your exhaust path, and there's ammonia, there's flue gas, there's a catalyst, and I get lower NOx out the back. I get some unreacted ammonia, which is my ammonia slip, or I reduce my CO emissions by going through what looks like a car radiator, but many guys don't understand it, and it's not in their wheelhouse, right? So a lot of people take the approach of, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So they just sort of let it hum along and keep going until it's a problem, right? And they kind of treat the emission system as a bit of a black box. The other thing sort of with this typical sort of setup that we have today is this typical outage circus, right? You've got owners, asset managers, owners reps that sort of approve the budget and dictate a lot of what gets done and what doesn't get done. And then you've got your current, kind of O&M provider, or, the plant itself that's doing some of the light I&C work and electrical and balance of plant stuff and the outage management side. And then they're managing the EH&S and the waste and the operations and everything else. And then, you get to your outage, and then you've got, all these different contractors on site, right? And it's sort of a circus at times, right? It's a well orchestrated circus during an outage or a turnaround, but certainly, pretty crazy with all of this stuff kind of going on, right? So I'd ask you to kind of take a picture of this slide in your mind, and we'll kind of circle back around to it as we sort of get further along in the presentation here. So let's talk about standard aftermarket catalyst spend, and let's really take a quick look at this graph here on the right side of the screen. This is a typical spend on 10-year life cycle of a catalyst within a gas turbine, petrochem refinery plant, right? Year one, maybe you do nothing. Year two, maybe you spend a little bit of money doing an ammonia injection grid tuning to optimize, the process. Maybe year three, you spend a little bit of money testing your catalyst. Year four, you spend some money trying to clean and extend that life cycle. And then all of a sudden in year six, you got to replace that catalyst. And you've got this huge CapEx spend that kind of pops up at some point in that 10-year life cycle. And I think the real important thing to sort of notice here, and I think that to really take note of, is that, with NOXCO versus traditional, NOXCO is the same cost year over year, right? You kind of normalize your spend with regards to your emissions control. So, it's a real tailored program, that we're offering here at NOXCO. It's sort of between an OEM LTSA and a self-managed program. We develop a custom program. The customer certainly can maintain certain risk and responsibility if they so choose, or NOXCO can take on all of that risk for you and deal with your permitting and everything else. And there's no guesswork really for us in this, right? And the customer can certainly choose to maintain, the ammonia skid maintenance should they so choose, or if they want to handle the cranes and the rentals and the combustion tuning and some of those things, certainly you can maintain that, or NOXCO can take that on. It's sort of a tailored approach depending on what you're looking for here. So let's kind of talk about what we're going to talk about. Really the meat and potatoes of NOXCO. It's a compliance plan. It's fixed annual cost. It's guaranteed performance, and it's turnkey management for you. And let's talk about fixed annual cost here. Here's some cash flows for a 6-year-old catalyst and a typical GE 7F turbine. Over 20 years, you can see these capital expenditures, in year 3 when the catalyst is 9 years old, when the catalyst is, then 8 years old in year 11, and 8 years old again in 19, right? Look at that lumpy sort of spending and operating costs of that emissions control and that catalyst. And then you can see with NOXCO, right? It's the same spend for that 20-year period, right? We're normalizing your cost over those years. We're converting from CapEx into OpEx. We're giving you cash flow predictability. We're stabilizing catalyst maintenance expenses. We're removing any sort of catalyst monitoring expenses. We're going to reduce all your soft cost expenses. And we're also going to eliminate any unplanned catalyst replacement expenses. You're not going to have to worry anymore about, what happens if this catalyst fails me in the middle of summer. NOXCO takes on all that risk. We take on all of that responsibility. And as the plant and the owners, you don't have to worry about that anymore. And let's talk about this guaranteed performance piece. Look at the graph, look at the pie chart on the right. You've got your annualized cost breakdown for GE frame 7Fs. In a typical year, right, as you kind of normalize these costs over 10 years, 14% is going to be spent on cleaning, 12% on installation, and you've got some disposal costs, the actual cost of the catalyst, your non-service costs, your AIG tuning, your testing and support, right? And NOXCO takes care of all of that for you. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It allows you to kind of manage your risk, and also, realize the full potential of your asset and catalyst life cycle. You can remove the unknown, unexpected FCR maintenance costs, cleaning, and all of those things are taken care of. Consolidate your vendor base, and you acquire aftermarket experience, right? You don't have to worry about that black box approach anymore. NOXCO is your black box. We're your black box management company, and you no longer have to worry about that. NOXCO service plan, really, this is sort of an important point here at the bottom of the slide. The NOXCO service plan takes the uncertainty out of replacement decisions and provides the owner and or operator with a continuous performance guarantee. And I think that's a real important note to be made here with what NOXCO is offering you guys. So what's in it for me, right? Like, we've got a lot of owners on the call here today. We've got a lot of operators on the call here today. For the owners, it's cash flow from CapEx into OpEx, right? It's predictable costs. It's resale value. I mean, how many of these plants today are bought and sold on a regular basis, right? And if you take an asset that has guaranteed emissions compliance attached to it, while you're going through the due diligence of selling that asset, you're passing off to the new owners, guaranteed compliance for the future of their facility with regards to their emissions. There's a lot of resale value in that. There's a lot of peace of mind, for the people buying that plant, that they can check that box on the due diligence form. They don't have to worry about the emissions anymore. And it minimizes your risk as an owner, right? Your divergence from your permits and everything else, you don't have to worry about that anymore. The owners can sleep peaceful at night knowing that emissions wise, we're taken care of. NOXCO has our back. You can leverage the fleet, owners that own multiple, gas turbine facilities or multiple petrochemical facilities throughout the country, multiple refineries throughout the country. You can put the whole fleet together in a NOXCO plan and leverage that and reduce your costs, and also, increase your EBITDA. which is what all owners want, right? Everybody wants more EBITDA, more multiples at sale, more money in their pocket at the end of the day. And for the operators, with a NOXCO partnership and a NOXCO LTSA for guaranteed emissions compliance, you pick up, 100 plus years of in-house expertise for your emissions control equipment. The planning is all done for you. You don't have to plan anything anymore as far as the emissions control is concerned. We plan everything. We take on all of that maintenance, whether it's a catalyst cleaning, a catalyst tuning with a stack testing company, all of that, catalyst selection, catalyst process, everything is handled for you. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You get to maximize the performance of your asset. With all of our in-house expertise, it's in our best interest as well as yours to maximize that performance of that asset, right? Let's reduce that NOx as much as possible. Let's extend the catalyst life cycle as much as possible. And then all your labor and vendor management is taken care of. You don't have to worry about, is that, I got a catalyst replacement coming up. Who's going to take care of disposal? Who's going to select my new catalyst, within your bid management as well? Who's going to handle, tuning this after, who's going to tune my AIG after we're done? All of that, who's going to test my catalyst? For the operator, I'm here to tell you that you're going to probably get pretty sick of seeing NOXCO around. We're going to provide you with an annual report of, what was done to the system in the last 12 months, how's your system running today? What does the next 12 months look like? You're going to get a report from us. You're going to see us at every one of your outages, doing inspections, doing different maintenance work and everything else. We're going to be in there with your operators in your control room. And we're also going to help them. We're going to help them, run the system better. We're going to offer some classes and some training for your operators in your control room so that you can optimize that asset as well. And sort of another note here, the largest recurring capital expenditure for emissions control equipment is the SCR catalyst. And I know we talk about SCR catalyst a lot here, but please also understand that, should your facility have ammonia slip requirements, should you have CO requirements as well at the stack and have a CO catalyst, we'll wrap that right up under the NOXCO LTSA as well. We'll take care of your CO emissions, we'll take care of your NOx emissions with your SCR, and we'll take care of your ammonia slip emissions as well. So that's all rolled up into this LTSA. So, sort of circle back around to this slide, right? Because as far as your emissions system is concerned anymore, your compliance, NOXCO takes care of the typical outage circus. We already have the owner, asset manager, and owner's rep. We've already got them taken care of. They've signed on to NOXCO. They've agreed to pay that annual cost for the 10-year LTSA. It's taken care of for them. And then for the O&M, the O&M providers at the plant and the plant level folks, that's all taken care of with your emission system. You don't have to worry about the waste. You don't have to worry about the EH&S. It's NOXCO manages all that for you with regards to your catalyst system and your emission system. And then any of your service providers, it's all NOXCO managed as well. You don't have to worry about that at all. You can kind of basically put a big check mark as far as your outage circus is concerned on an annual or semi-annual basis with regards to NOXCO and your emission system. So, it's a tailored plan also. That's something else to keep in mind here, right? So whether it's a gas turbine, whether it's an LMS 100, a 501G, F-class unit, whether you're a refinery running can heaters, reformers, or fluidized cat crackers, or whether you're a process facility with package boilers, waste incinerators, furnaces, we tailor a plan directly to your facility. So, if you call me up tomorrow and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about NOXCO and I'd like to kind of get an idea at my facility of what it's going to cost, we're going to come in and we're going to do a several week survey. We're going to come in during an outage. We're going to inspect everything. We're going to test your catalyst. We're going to do a full system assessment. We're going to run a bunch of data. And what we're going to do there is then take that data, take all that analysis, take everything, and offer you then a 10-year contract, a 10-year LTSA for your specific system. So it's tailored directly to you guys. We've got hours and hours and probably weeks worth of work and putting together that assessment before you even get a kind of pro forma contract and pricing of what NOXCO looks for you, what NOXCO does for you. So sort of, summarize all this up. NOXCO's recognized unserved need in the market. We deliver increased operational flexibility and performance of the SCR CO catalyst and your ammonia injection grid system. We're going to drive sustained peak performance at lowest life cycle cost. it includes a full system turnkey wrap. It's all your system maintenance, your inspections, your tunings, your optimization, your projections, your testing, your cleaning, and replacement of your system. It's all bundled up in one 10-year contract. And then, for the finance folks or the folks on the call that are worried about, well, NOXCO is a new company, or, what sort of guarantees do you have and everything else? We're backed by a $30 million bonding facility. So, for your CFOs and your finance guys and everything else, it's a pretty big checkbox, to have a bonding capacity behind us to give you guys the peace of mind in partnering with NOXCO. And the biggest thing is it transfers the risk from the plant to a group of industry experts with 100 years experience, right? And kind of the largest thing for me is that peace of mind, right? We're going to leave the owner, the operator, with a peace of mind with regards to their catalyst system. So I know I've sort of talked pretty fast. We've gone through a bunch of slides here. I'm going to open it up now and take a look at some of these questions that we have here. So feel free to kind of hit it up in the Q&A here portion. If you got some questions, we've got a couple of questions here I'm going to answer. And I'll take you through these questions, and let me just make sure that there's no questions here in the chat. Okay, we got no questions in the chat. So I've got two questions here within the Q&A piece. I've got a 10-year-old catalyst. Can NOXCO help? Yes, certainly. I think that's probably where NOXCO shines the most, in those aging assets and those aging catalyst systems. So certainly we can help you with an old catalyst. That's no problem at all. There's another question. I just replaced my catalyst last year. Do I need NOXCO? I would say yes. I would say, the guy with the 10-year-old catalyst needs NOXCO just as much as the guy with a new catalyst, right? You've spent all that money on that asset. Now you want to optimize the performance of that. Another question here. Will you be working with specific third-party subs for supply and/or labor? Yeah, we've got partnership agreements already set up within NOXCO to handle all of our third-party work. Once again, NOXCO is going to go out to the experts and kind of manage all this work for you. So the plant doesn't have to worry about it anymore. The plant doesn't have to worry about going out to bid. The plant doesn't have to worry about what contractor's doing what. That's all vetted and approved with NOXCO before anybody shows up on site. That's all the questions I have. So unless anything sort of pops up here in the next 30 seconds, I certainly want to thank everybody for their time today. I've got my information here up on the screen here. It's my email address. There's my direct dial number should you want to get a hold of me, and I welcome everybody to kind of visit our website and take a look at some of that information on there. So thanks everybody in advance. Thanks everybody again for their time. Really enjoyed it today, and I look forward to hearing from some people down the road. So thanks everybody. Have a great day.